The crimson moon of Xerion cast long shadows across the crystalline wasteland as Rose pressed her scaled hand against the jagged outcropping. Her breathing labored. For 6 rotations, she had pursued the human through this frozen hellscape, her warrior's instinct screaming that he should have died by now, yet somehow, impossibly, he continued to evade her. Rose belonged to the Kythera, a species that had conquered 17 star systems through sheer martial prowess. Their exoskeletons could deflect plasma rounds, their reflexes were lightning fast, and their endurance legendary. She had personally led the assault on 3 human colonies, watching their pathetic defenses crumble before Kytheran might. Humans were weak, fragile creatures who relied on technology because their biology had failed them. So why couldn't she catch this one? The human, Rayan, she had learned from intercepted communications, had crashed on Xerion during a supply run. His ship lay in ruins in the shattered valleys, its hull split open like a broken egg. By all rights, he should have frozen to death within hours. The temperature dropped to -40 during Xerion's long nights, and the atmosphere was too thin for human lungs. Yet here she was, 6 days later, still following his impossible trail. Rose's thermal scanners showed his path leading toward the Whispering Caves, a network of tunnels that honeycombed the northern mountains. She had driven him there deliberately, cutting off his other escape routes. The caves were a dead end. Even if he found shelter, he had no food, no water, no way off this desolate rock. She would corner him at last. The cave entrance yawned before her like a hungry mouth. Rose activated her shoulder-mounted plasma cannon and stepped inside, her natural night vision cutting through the darkness. The tunnels branched and twisted, but she followed the heat signatures and the faint scent of human perspiration deeper into the mountain's heart. What she found defied every assumption she held about his species. Rian sat cross-legged in a small chamber, his back to the entrance. Before him lay something that made Rose freeze in confusion. Strips of metallic fabric, salvaged from his ship's hull, were woven together in an intricate pattern. But these weren't random scraps. He had somehow treated the metal, softening it into flexible threads, and was carefully braiding them into what could only be described as a blanket. "I know you're there," Rayan said without turning around. His voice was steady, unnaturally calm for someone who had been hunted across a hostile world. "I've been expecting you." Rose kept her weapon trained on him but didn't fire. "You should be dead, human. The cold alone should have killed you days ago." Rayan's hands never stopped moving, weaving the metallic threads with practiced precision. "The first night almost did. I lost feeling in my hands and feet. Hypothermia was setting in." He held up a strip of treated metal, examining it in the dim light filtering from Rose's armor. "But then I remembered something my grandmother taught me. She used to weave blankets for refugees who came to our colony, said the pattern itself held warmth, that it was the caring, not just the cloth, that kept people alive." "Sentiment is weakness," Rose snarled, though she found herself lowering her weapon slightly. "Your species clings to emotion because you lack strength." "Maybe," Rayan agreed, "but that emotion kept me alive when strength would have failed. I didn't just make this blanket for me, you see." Rose's mandibles clicked in confusion. "What do you mean?" For the first time, Rayan turned to face her. His dark eyes held no fear, only a strange sadness that made Rose's exoskeleton suddenly feel cold. "I've been watching you hunt me. 6 days in this wasteland and you never once stopped to rest properly. Your armor's heating system is failing. I can see the frost forming on your joints. Kytheran biology might be superior to human, but even you have limits." Rose glanced down at her arm plates. Ice crystals had indeed formed along the seams, something she had ignored in her relentless pursuit. Her internal temperature had been dropping steadily, but warrior pride had made her push through the discomfort. "You're dying too," Rayan continued, returning to his weaving. "Maybe slower than I would have, but this cold will claim you just the same. I realized that 3 days ago when I saw you stumbling on the ice fields. So you decided to—" "What, make me a blanket?" Rose's voice carried a mix of disbelief and something she couldn't name. Rayan smiled, a uniquely human expression that somehow conveyed both warmth and sorrow. "My grandmother always said that the measure of a person isn't how they treat their friends, but how they treat their enemies. You've been hunting me, yes, but you're also a living being trapped on a hostile world, same as me." He lifted the nearly completed blanket, and Rose saw that it was large enough for 2. The metallic weave caught the light from her armor, creating patterns that seemed to pulse with their own inner warmth. The heating elements from my ship's life support are woven into the fabric, Rayan explained. It won't last forever, but it should keep both of us alive long enough for rescue ships to arrive. I sent out a distress beacon before my ship died. Someone will come looking eventually. Rose stared at the blanket, her weapon forgotten. In 6 days of pursuit, she had seen this human's resourcefulness, his endurance, his refusal to give up. But this act of creation in the face of death, of compassion toward an enemy, this was something entirely outside her understanding of warfare. Why? She whispered. Rayan stood, offering her one corner of the blanket. Because that's what humans do. We survive not by being the strongest or the fastest, but by taking care of each other, even when each other includes someone who wants to kill us. Rose looked at his outstretched hand, then at the blanket that represented hours of careful work in a freezing cave. For the first time in her warrior's life, she found herself questioning everything she thought she knew about strength. She powered down her weapon and stepped forward into the warmth. Outside, Xerion's crimson moon continued its silent watch over a universe where the most powerful act might not be conquest, but compassion.